The afternoon sun beat down on the dusty commercial street as Adams wiped grease from his hands. His small workshop sat wedged between a fabric store and a provision shop, where luxury cars passed but never stopped. At 28, he had learned to ignore the whispers and pointed fingers from the wealthy masses who drove by daily. Poor Adams. Still fixing broken engines like his broken life. A woman shouted from her Mercedes. Her friends laughed. His parents died poor, and he will die poor too. It's in his blood. Adams kept his head down, tightening a bolt on an old taxi. The workshop owner, Mr. Samuel, had given him this corner space 3 years ago when he saw potential in the quiet young man. Most days, only commercial drivers brought their vehicles. The rich refused to trust a nobody orphan with their expensive cars. "Why do they hate me so much?" Adams asked Mr. Samuel during lunch. The old man sighed. "Because you remind them that not everyone starts with money. They fear what they don't understand. But your hands, my boy, those hands have something special. Your father would be proud." Adams smiled weakly at the mention of his father. His parents had died in a bus accident 10 years ago when he was 18, leaving him with nothing but memories and his father's old toolbox. His father had been a mechanic too, a brilliant one, but poverty and illness had taken him before he could build anything lasting. Before the accident, Adams had spent every afternoon after school in his father's small workshop, watching, learning, absorbing everything. His father never went to any formal school but had learned from his own father, and his father before him. "Our family may not have money," his father used to say, "but we have knowledge in our hands. Knowledge that has been passed down for 3 generations. That is worth more than gold." When his parents died, Adams was 18 with no relatives willing to take him in. No inheritance except that old toolbox and everything his father had taught him. He had slept in the workshop for 6 months, fixing vehicles during the day and studying his father's handwritten notebooks at night. Pages filled with diagrams, notes, and solutions to problems his father had solved over 30 years. That afternoon, a convoy of black SUVs rolled down the street. People scrambled to the sides, bowing slightly. Adams glanced up briefly, then returned to his work. Royal convoys passed through the commercial district occasionally. They meant nothing to him. What he didn't know was that inside the middle SUV sat Princess Zara, daughter of the Oba of Lagos, returning from a community visit. She was 26, elegant, and known throughout the city for her genuine concern for common people. Unlike other royals who performed charity for cameras, she actually listened to the communities she visited. "Your Highness, we should take the expressway," her guard David suggested. "No," Zara replied, looking out the window. "I want to see the streets my people walk every day. How else will I understand their challenges?" She had no idea that 30 minutes later, those same streets would bring her face to face with a ghost from her past. As the convoy disappeared from view, Adams returned to his work, unaware that fate was circling back to a moment 7 years ago. A moment that had left him scarred and the princess forever searching for a face she could never forget. "Just a local mechanic, Your Highness. No one important. Our royal mechanics will arrive in 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Zara looked at the smoking vehicle, then at the gathering crowd filming everything on their phones. "That's unacceptable." She studied the young man more carefully. Something about his stillness reminded her of someone, but she couldn't place it. "Go ask if he can help." David's eyes widened. "Your Highness, these people are mocking him. He's clearly not qualified. I didn't ask for your opinion. I asked you to bring him here." The crowd fell silent as David reluctantly walked to Adam's workshop. "The princess requests your assistance." Adam's heart hammered. "Me? Why? Don't question it. Come now." As Adams picked up his father's old toolbox and crossed the street, the wealthy onlookers gasped. "This is ridiculous," a woman in a Range Rover shouted. "Your Highness, don't let that nobody touch your vehicle. He'll damage it. His family has been fixing broken vehicles for 3 generations and stayed poor," another added. "That should tell you everything about their skills." Princess Zara raised her hand, silencing the crowd immediately. She turned to Adams. Can you diagnose the problem? Adams approached the smoking hood carefully. The guards watched him with suspicion. He could feel dozens of eyes burning into his back, waiting for him to fail. He opened the hood and stood perfectly still for 4 minutes, not touching anything, just observing, exactly as his father had taught him. The alternator belt snapped, he said quietly. But that's just the visible problem. The real issue is deeper. The engine overheated because someone replaced the original radiator with a cheaper version that can't handle the pressure. The water pump is also failing. The vehicle was not properly maintained. The crowd murmured. That was oddly specific. Can you fix it? Zara asked. The belt, yes. 25 minutes. But the radiator and pump need replacement within the week, or you'll be stranded again. Then fix what you can now. The crowd exploded in protest, but Zara silenced them with a look. Adams opened his father's toolbox, worn leather, 3 decades old, filled with tools that had fixed hundreds of vehicles. As he worked, the crowd watched, phones recording, waiting for him to fail. His hands moved with practiced precision. He didn't waste a single motion. Every adjustment was deliberate. 22 minutes later, the engine roared to life, smooth and steady. Complete silence fell over the street. David started the vehicle and drove it 50 meters forward and back. Perfect. He returned with disbelief written across his face. It works, Your Highness. Perfectly. Princess Zara walked closer to Adams. Where did you learn this? My father, Your Highness. And he learned from his father. No formal training. My family could never afford it. But my grandfather always said that the best education is knowledge passed down through blood and sweat. Something flickered in Zara's expression. Respect, maybe curiosity. She reached into her purse and pulled out a substantial amount of money. Adams stepped back. I can't accept that, Your Highness. Why not? You earned it. Because. Adams hesitated, then spoke honestly. I helped you because you needed help. Not for money. That's what my father taught me. If I take payment for helping someone in genuine need, I disrespect his memory. The crowd gasped. No one refused money from royalty. Zara studied him carefully, her eyes searching his face, his hands, his posture. Then her gaze landed on his neck, a small crescent-shaped scar, barely visible above his shirt collar. Her breath caught. The world seemed to tilt. That scar, she whispered, her voice suddenly shaking. How did you get that scar? Adams instinctively touched his neck, fingers tracing the crescent-shaped scar he'd carried for 7 years. The crowd leaned in, sensing something significant was unfolding. A stampede, Adams said quietly. 7 years ago at the National Stadium during the Independence Day celebration. I was there with my father. We were in the crowd when people started pushing. Someone fell near us. I helped them up, but the crowd was wild. I got trampled. Woke up 3 days later in a public hospital with this scar and 13 stitches. Princess Zara's hand flew to her mouth. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Your Highness. David moved closer, concerned. But Zara couldn't speak. She was trembling, staring at Adams as memories flooded back. 7 years ago, attending the independence celebration against her father's wishes, insisting she wanted to be among the people, not separated in the VIP section. She remembered the moment the crowd surged. She remembered falling. She remembered strong hands pulling her up, a young man's body shielding her from the stampede. She remembered seeing blood on his neck as he pushed her toward safety. And then he was gone, swallowed by the chaos. You, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. It was you. Adams stared at her, confused. Your Highness, I don't understand. That someone you helped, Zara's voice cracked with emotion, was me. I was the one who fell. You saved my life that day. The street exploded in gasps and exclamations. Phones captured every second. Adam's legs nearly gave out. That was... You were... I didn't know. I looked for you, Zora said, stepping closer. 4 months, I searched every hospital, every clinic in Lagos. My guards showed your description to thousands of people. But you disappeared. I only knew you were young, that you were bleeding, and that you'd saved my life. Her voice rose with emotion. I've thought about you almost every day for 7 years. Wondering if you survived. Wondering who you were. Praying I would find you to say thank you. David's face showed complete shock. Your Highness, all those months you were searching, this was who you were looking for? Zora nodded, unable to take her eyes off Adam's. I never forgot. Never. And now, 7 years later, you've saved me again. Not from a stampede, but from humiliation and helplessness on this street. The wealthy crowd that had mocked Adams minutes ago now stood in stunned silence. The woman in the Range Rover who had called him a nobody slowly backed away, her face burning with shame. Adam's voice was barely a whisper. I only did what my father taught me. Help people who need it. Don't ask questions. Don't expect rewards. Your father raised a hero, Zora said, her voice thick with emotion. Mr. Samuel pushed through the crowd, tears streaming down his weathered face. Adam's father was my best friend, he told the princess. He died poor, yes. But he was the most skilled mechanic I ever knew. And he raised his son to be even better. Adams has his father's hands and his grandfather's wisdom. Zora turned to her guard. David, I want a royal decree prepared immediately. Your Highness. Adams will be appointed as the Chief Royal Mechanical Engineer. He will oversee all royal vehicles and establish a training program at the palace for young mechanics. His workshop here will be expanded with royal funding and will become a center for training the next generation. The crowd erupted, some in celebration, others in disbelief. Adams fell to his knees. Your Highness, I can't accept this. I'm not worthy. Then Princess Zara did something that made the nation hold its breath. She kneeled before him. No. David lunged forward, but Zara raised her hand to stop him. The entire street went silent. Phones captured the moment that would trend for weeks. You have carried my life twice, Zara said, her voice clear and strong despite her tears. Once with your body when you bled for me. Once with your skill when you rescued me from embarrassment. Let me carry yours now. Let me honor you the way you've honored me with your selflessness. Adams wept openly. Please stand, Your Highness. You don't need to do this. Yes, I do. Zora stood and helped Adams to his feet. For 7 years, I've searched for you. Now that I've found you, I'm not letting this city's cruelty define your future any longer. She turned to face the crowd. Every single person who mocked this man should be ashamed. You judged him by his poverty instead of his character. You laughed at his family's struggle instead of respecting their skill and integrity. The wealthy onlookers couldn't meet her eyes. Some slipped away quietly, suddenly remembering urgent appointments. From this moment, Zora declared, Adams is under royal protection. His appointment as Chief Royal Mechanical Engineer will be formalized tomorrow at the palace. Anyone who disrespects him disrespects the crown itself. She handed Adams an official royal card. Come to the palace tomorrow at 9 in the morning. Wear whatever makes you comfortable. You've already proven you're more noble than half the titled men in my father's court. As the royal convoy prepared to leave, Zora turned back one more time. Adams, your father would be so proud of you. And so would your grandfather. You've honored their legacy in every way that matters. After the convoy left, the street erupted in chaos. People who had mocked Adams minutes ago now tried to congratulate him. He ignored them all and walked back to his workshop with Mr. Samuel. 7 years, Adams said, still in shock. She's been looking for me for 7 years. Because you gave her something rare, Mr. Samuel replied. Selflessness. In a world where everyone wants something, you wanted nothing. That's unforgettable. That night, the video went viral. Hashtag The Princess Kneels trended across Nigeria. Every news station covered the story. The orphan nobody wanted had become the man everyone suddenly claimed to know and support. But in a mansion across the city, Chief Raymond, the wealthiest merchant in Lagos, watched the news with calculating eyes. He had a daughter who needed a powerful husband. And he had a plan to use Adam's sudden fame for his own benefit. "Get me everything on this Adams," he told his assistant. "I want to know his weaknesses, his debts, his desires. Everyone wants something. I just need to find out what he wants." The princess kneeled. After searching for 7 years. If this gave you chills, smash that like button and subscribe to Folktales by Inaya. Comment. Would you search for someone for 7 years just to say thank you? What happens next at the palace and Chief Raymond's plan is sinister. You can't miss this. Adams arrived at the palace gates at 8:30 the next morning, wearing his father's old but clean shirt, the one his father wore to important meetings. Guards verified his identity and escorted him through gates that opened to reveal grounds more magnificent than anything he'd imagined. Princess Zara met him personally in the main courtyard, dressed in royal attire but with the same warm expression from yesterday. "Welcome, Adams. Today your life changes permanently." She led him to the royal garage, a massive compound housing 25 vehicles, from ceremonial cars to everyday SUVs. 3 mechanics stood nervously at attention. "These are your colleagues now," Zara explained. "They've been briefed that you'll be leading the team. I've also allocated funds to rebuild your workshop into a proper training facility. It will be called the Adams Technical Institute, named after you and your father." Adams couldn't speak. His eyes filled with tears. "There's more," Zara continued. "We're creating a scholarship fund in your parents' names. Every year, 10 orphans will receive full mechanical training, tools, and startup capital to open their own workshops. Your father's knowledge won't die with him. It will multiply." Adams fell to his knees, overwhelmed. "Why are you doing all this?" Zara kneeled beside him, a gesture that was becoming their signature connection. "Because 7 years ago, you gave me my life without asking for anything. Today, I'm trying to repay a debt I'll never fully settle. But more than that, I want to prove that this country can reward merit over money, character over connections." The next 4 weeks transformed everything. Adams moved into housing provided near the palace. His workshop was demolished and rebuilt, 4 times larger, with modern equipment, proper ventilation, and space for 30 trainees. The sign above read, Adams Technical Institute, honoring 3 generations of excellence. His daily routine now included mornings at the palace garage training the royal mechanics in techniques his father had perfected, and afternoons at his institute teaching 10 young people from poor backgrounds. Mr. Samuel became his deputy, finally receiving the recognition he deserved. Princess Zara visited the institute twice weekly, not for publicity but to genuinely check on the trainees' progress. She knew each trainee's name, their background, their dreams. Adams watched her interact with them and realized she truly cared about changing lives, not just her image. "You're making a difference," she told him one afternoon as they watched a 17-year-old girl named Joy successfully complete her first engine rebuild. "You gave me the platform," Adams replied. "My father had the same skills but died without recognition. The difference is you believed in me. Your father had something more important than recognition," Zara said softly. "He had a son who honored his legacy. That's immortality." Their friendship deepened naturally. They shared a similar worldview, that privilege should be used to lift others, not just maintain power. The media noticed their closeness and began speculating about romance, but both ignored it. Their bond was deeper than what tabloids could understand. Then the serpent struck. Chief Raymond arrived at the institute on a Wednesday afternoon in a convoy that rivaled the royal one. Adams was demonstrating carburetor repair when the chief stepped out, flanked by 6 bodyguards. "Adams," Chief Raymond's voice boomed with false warmth. Finally, I get to meet the famous royal engineer. Adams set down his tools slowly. Can I help you? Help me. No, no. The chief laughed loudly, pulling out a folder. I'm here to help you. I own Raymond International Motors. We import 60% of automobile parts in Lagos. With your position and my resources, we could dominate the market. I'm offering you a partnership. 40% profit share. Minimum 20 million naira yearly. 20 million naira. That was more money than Adams had seen in his entire life. I also want to introduce you to my daughter Clara, Chief Raymond continued smoothly. She's educated, beautiful, from a respected family. A proper match for a man of your new status. Much more appropriate than other connections you might be considering. Adams understood immediately. This wasn't about business. This was about control. I'm not interested, Adams said firmly. Chief Raymond's smile didn't waver, but his eyes turned cold. Don't be hasty. Think about it. Think about your future. The princess has been generous, but royal favor is temporary. Today you're elevated, tomorrow you could be forgotten. But business partnerships? Those last forever. My answer is no. Please leave. You're making a mistake. The chief's voice dropped lower, more threatening. I'm offering you security, wealth, and social acceptance. Turn me down, and you'll regret it. The same people who praise you today will destroy you tomorrow when the princess gets bored of her charity project. Get out. Adam's voice echoed across the workshop. Every trainee stopped working. My father taught me that integrity isn't for sale. Not for 20 million. Not for 200 million. I'd rather stay poor than partner with someone who sees people as investments. Chief Raymond's face twisted with rage. You'll regret this, boy. You think you're special? You think the princess actually cares about you? She's using you for positive publicity. Once the story gets old, you'll be back in the gutter where you belong. Leave now, or I'll have security remove you, Adams said coldly. The chief left, but his parting words poisoned Adam's mind. That night he couldn't sleep. Was he just a publicity stunt? A feel-good story for the princess to boost her image? Would she abandon him when the attention faded? The next morning, Princess Zara immediately noticed his distance. What happened? She asked directly. Chief Raymond came yesterday, Adams said quietly. He offered me money, partnership, his daughter. When I refused, he said you're just using me for publicity. That you'll abandon me when the story gets old. Zara's face showed hurt, then anger. And you believe him? I don't know what to believe anymore, Adams admitted. Everything happened so fast. 4 weeks ago, I was nobody. Now I'm royal engineer, running an institute, meeting with nobles. Maybe he's right. Maybe this is all temporary. Zara's eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears, but angry ones. Adams, do you know what it's like to live in a palace where everyone wants something from you? Where every friendship is calculated. Every conversation has an agenda. Her voice shook. For 7 years, I searched for someone who helped me and disappeared. Someone who wanted nothing. When I found you again, do you know what I felt? Relief. Finally, someone genuine in a world full of pretenders. She stepped closer. I don't need you for publicity. I need you because you remind me why I wanted to serve people in the first place. You remind me that good people still exist. Every time I visit your institute and see those young people learning, I feel like I'm actually making a difference, not just cutting ribbons at charity events that change nothing. Adams felt ashamed. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted. Chief Raymond came to the palace too, Zara interrupted. Yesterday, after leaving your institute. He offered my father a massive donation in exchange for an audience with me. He wants to use your rejection as proof that you're unsuitable for royal association. He's trying to poison my father against you. Adam's blood ran cold. What did your father say? He told Raymond that any man who bribes for access to his daughter isn't worthy of breathing palace air, Zara said. Then he doubled your institute's funding and invited you to sit on the Royal Council's next meeting as an advisor on youth development. Adams sat down heavily. I almost lost everything because I listened to a snake. No, Zara corrected. You almost lost everything because you're human. Doubt is normal. But now you know the truth. She sat beside him. Raymond will try again. Men like him don't stop. But you need to trust that what we're building here, this friendship, this institute, this change, is real. I trust you, Adams said. I'm sorry I doubted. Don't apologize. Just remember this feeling. Because in 2 days, Chief Raymond is going to try something much worse. And this time, it won't be private. 2 days later, Adams received a formal summons to appear before the Oba in the palace throne room. The message gave no explanation, only a time, noon. Princess Zara sent word that she would meet him there. When Adams arrived, the throne room was packed. Nobles, chiefs, wealthy merchants, and curious onlookers filled every available space. At the center of it all sat the Oba of Lagos, his expression unreadable, his presence commanding absolute silence. Chief Raymond stood to the Oba's right, dressed in the finest Agbada money could buy, looking confident and smug. Princess Zara entered from a side door and immediately stood beside Adams, a deliberate show of solidarity that made the nobles whisper. Silence! The Oba's voice thundered. The room went deathly quiet. Chief Raymond has brought accusations that must be addressed publicly, the Oba began, his deep voice filling the massive room. He claims that Adams, our newly appointed royal mechanical engineer, insulted him, refused legitimate business opportunities out of pride, and that my daughter has been manipulated by emotions rather than reason. He further suggests that elevating an orphan with no family pedigree undermines royal dignity and traditional values. The nobles murmured in agreement. Chief Raymond nodded, barely containing his satisfaction. He proposes, the Oba continued, that Adams' appointment be revoked and that I consider more suitable candidates from established families for positions of influence. Adams felt his world crumbling. He had known Raymond would strike, but this, a public trial before the entire court, was devastating. Adams, the Oba said, you will speak now. Defend yourself. Adams stepped forward, his legs shaking but his voice steady. Your Majesty, Chief Raymond speaks truthfully about some things. I am an orphan. I have no family name to elevate me. My parents died poor. By his standards, I am unsuitable. The nobles nodded, sensing victory. But, Adams continued, his voice growing stronger, Chief Raymond measures suitability by wealth and connections. He came to my institute offering me millions and his daughter, not because he respected my skills, but because he saw an opportunity to profit from my connection to the princess. When I refused to be bought, he came here to destroy me. That's not business, Your Majesty. That's extortion. Lies. Chief Raymond shouted. Your Majesty, he insults me again. You will speak when I permit it. The Oba cut him off coldly. Adams turned to face the assembled nobles. My grandfather was a mechanic. My father was a mechanic. They both died poor. But they died with something Chief Raymond will never have, integrity. My grandfather taught my father, who taught me, that your worth isn't measured by your bank account. It's measured by what you do when no one is watching, when there's no reward, when helping someone costs you everything. He faced Chief Raymond directly. 7 years ago, I saved the princess from a stampede. I got trampled protecting her. I woke up in a hospital with 13 stitches and a scar I'll carry forever. I didn't know who she was. I didn't ask for payment or recognition. I disappeared because I thought I'd done what any decent person would do. Tears streamed down his face now. My father taught me that. He said, Adams, if you can help someone and you choose not to, you've failed as a human being. So I helped. And I nearly died. But I'd do it again tomorrow, because that's what my family taught me. The throne room was absolutely silent. Chief Raymond measures success by his fleet of cars and his mansion and his business empire, Adams continued, his voice breaking. But I measure success by the 10 young people in my institute who are learning skills that will feed their families. By the scholarship fund that bears my parents' names. By the knowledge my father passed to me that I'm now passing to others. That's generational wealth. That's legacy. That's worth more than all of Chief Raymond's millions. He turned back to the Oba. Your Majesty, if this palace values money over character, then I don't belong here. Revoke my position. I'll go back to my corner workshop and continue teaching for free. But I'll do it with my integrity intact. Something Chief Raymond can never buy. Princess Zara stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. Father, may I speak? The Oba nodded. 7 years ago, I defied your security protocols because I wanted to be among the people during Independence Day. I thought I knew better. I was wrong. I nearly died in that stampede. But Adams saved me. Her voice echoed through the chamber. He didn't know who I was. He just saw someone in danger and acted. He got trampled because of me. He bled because of me. And then he disappeared. She faced the nobles. I searched for him for months. I showed his description to thousands. I checked every hospital. I couldn't find him. And for 7 years, I've thought about him. Wondered if he survived. Prayed I'd find him to say thank you. Her voice rose with passion. When I found him 4 weeks ago, do you know what he was doing? Living in poverty. Being mocked by people like you, she pointed at the wealthy nobles, who judged him by his dead parents instead of his living character. And when I offered him money for fixing my vehicle, he refused it. He said taking payment for helping someone in genuine need would dishonor his father's memory. The nobles shifted uncomfortably. Chief Raymond didn't come here because he cares about royal dignity, Zora declared, her voice sharp. He came because Adams refused to be bought. Because Adams represents everything Raymond isn't. Selfless, skilled, and uncorrupted by wealth. Raymond sees Adams' integrity as a threat to the system that rewards money over merit. She turned to her father. You've always taught me that nobility is about service, not status. That leadership is about sacrifice, not privilege. Adams embodies those values more than anyone in this room. If we revoke his position because he's poor, we're declaring that this palace rewards wealth over character. Is that the legacy you want? The Oba sat in silence for a long moment. Then he stood, and the entire room dropped to their knees, everyone except Adams, who didn't know the protocol. Adams, the Oba said. Kneel. Adams dropped to his knees, his heart pounding. The Oba descended from his throne and stood before him. Chief Raymond, the Oba's voice was ice, you came to my palace offering money in exchange for influence. You went to Adams offering wealth to control him. When both attempts failed, you came here to destroy a man whose only crime is refusing to be corrupted. He turned to the nobles. This man risked his life for my daughter when he had no idea who she was. He refused payment twice, once from her, once from Raymond, because he values principle over profit. And you dare suggest he's unsuitable? The Oba's voice rose to a thunderous boom. Chief Raymond, your business dealings with this palace are permanently terminated. You are stripped of your advisory position on the Commerce Council. And you are banned from royal grounds. Guards, escort him out. Raymond's face went white. Your Majesty, please. Remove him. As guards dragged the chief away, his protests echoing through the halls, the Oba placed his hand on Adam's shoulder. Stand up, my son. Adams rose, tears pouring down his face. Your appointment is not only confirmed but expanded, the Oba declared. You will join the Royal Council as the Director of Youth Empowerment. Your voice will shape policies that give other young people the opportunities you were denied. Your salary will reflect the value you bring, not to my garage, but to this nation's future. Adams couldn't speak. He could only weep. Your father raised you to be a man of character, the Oba continued. That's rarer and more valuable than any title I could give you. But I can give you a platform to multiply his legacy. And that's exactly what you'll do. The throne room erupted in applause, genuine this time, not political. Princess Zora embraced Adams as he sobbed. You did it. You stood up to power with nothing but truth. I just told them what my father taught me, Adams whispered. Exactly, Zora replied. And now thousands of young people will learn what your father taught you. That's how you change a nation. The Oba chose character over money. And Adams is now the director of youth empowerment. But the story isn't over yet. 3 months later, the Adams Technical Institute graduated its first class of 10 mechanics. All 10 received startup funding and opened workshops across Lagos. Princess Zara attended the graduation personally, awarding each graduate their certificate. Adams stood on the platform, looking at the crowd. Former street kids, orphans, young people society had written off, now skilled professionals with futures. My father died poor, Adams said in his speech. My grandfather died poor. But they didn't die failures. They died having passed down knowledge, integrity, and purpose. Today, we honor them by passing that legacy forward. He held up his father's old toolbox, now polished and preserved. This toolbox is 3 generations old. It's fixed thousands of vehicles. But more importantly, it's built 3 generations of men who measure success not by what they own, but by who they help. The audience stood and applauded. After the ceremony, Princess Zara found Adams on the balcony overlooking the city. Proud? She asked. Terrified, Adams admitted. We've got 300 applications for next year's class. How do we choose only 30? We expand, Zara said simply. The Oba approved funding for 2 more facilities. 1 in the Eastern District, 1 in the North. You'll train instructors who'll run them. Adams looked at her. Why are you doing all this? Really? Zara was quiet for a moment. Because 7 years ago, you showed me that good people still exist. That selflessness isn't extinct. That character matters more than status. She smiled. You saved my life twice, once from a stampede, once from cynicism. Now I'm trying to save a generation from the poverty that killed your parents. Not with charity, but with opportunity. We're changing the system, Adams said softly. No, Zara corrected. You're changing the system. I'm just opening doors. You're the one walking through them and bringing others with you. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over Lagos. Below them, in workshops across the city, young mechanics trained by Adams were fixing vehicles, earning honest livings, and teaching others. The cycle his grandfather started 3 generations ago was no longer contained to one family. It was spreading across the nation. Chief Raymond watched that same sunset from his mansion, his business empire crumbling after the royal ban destroyed his reputation. He had wealth, but he had lost something more valuable, respect. Adams had never had wealth. But he had something Raymond could never buy, a legacy that would outlive him by generations. As night fell over Lagos, Adams thought about his father, about the lessons learned in that cramped workshop, about the knowledge passed down through bloodlines of poverty but richness of character. I did it, Dad, he whispered to the stars. I honored what you taught me, and now thousands will learn it too. Somewhere in the city, a young orphan was fixing his first engine under the guidance of one of Adams' graduates. The cycle continued. The legacy multiplied. And in that multiplication, true immortality was born. From mocked orphan to director of youth empowerment. From one workshop to changing an entire nation. If this story moved you, if it inspired you, if it reminded you that character matters more than status, smash that like button and subscribe to Folktales by Inaya. Drop a comment telling me, what lesson from Adam's story will you carry with you? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their circumstances don't define their destiny. Thank you for being part of this journey. Turn on all notifications because we have more powerful stories coming. Remember, your worth isn't measured by your bank account. It's measured by your integrity. God bless you all.